confirm the secretary is expected to meet with Kim Jong.
Denuclearization talks between the U.S. and North Korea are on the verge of collapse. U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday canceled a planned visit by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to North Korea. Trump cited insufficient progress in the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula as the reason for his decision. A news channel in the U.S. quoted a diplomatic source as saying State Department officials were briefing allies' embassies about their objectives for the trip 10 minutes before Trump called off the trip. Trump's move has once again thrown efforts to resolve the issue of North Korea into confusion. Meanwhile, in his tweets, Trump tied the stalled talks with Pyongyang to trade relations with China. He said China is not helping because of trade tensions with the U.S. China said it was irresponsible of the U.S. president to accuse Beijing of doing little to help denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. Pyongyang has repeatedly complained about the, quote, gangster-like diplomacy of the Trump administration. Not easing sanctions may have cost the U.S. North Korea's cooperation in denuclearization.
The unraveling of the so-called denuclearization deal was overblown and overhyped from the start. It was good that Trump and North Korean President Kim met. However, Trump believed that all he had to do was to have the North Koreans destroy all of their nuclear weapons and all of their means of delivery, and everybody would be happy. And he never gave any thought to the North Koreans' point of view.
Trump's criticism of China does have a merit. China will not easily let North Korea fall into U.S. sphere of influence. It wants concessions when it comes to trade. At the same time, it'll not allow the U.S. influence in the region.
President Trump and his constant escalation of the conflict with China over essentially immaterial issues is part of the problem, and the Chinese see absolutely no reason to be helpful, to be no reason to be conciliatory on North Korea.
After his summit with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in June, Trump said the North was no longer a nuclear threat. The meeting followed a month-long war of words between the two, with Trump threatening to unleash fire and fury on North Korea and Kim calling the U.S. president mentally deranged. Now, U.S. intelligence agencies say satellite images show North Korea is developing new missiles. The U.S. had earlier confirmed Pyongyang was dismantling its missile testing site. Meanwhile, the UN nuclear agency, the IAEA, has said North Korea is continuing its nuclear program.
North Korea is not progressing the way Trump wants him to, simply because he sees that if he gives up nuclear weapons, he will be under the American jackboot again.
Analysts believe that it was naive of Trump to say North Korea was no longer a nuclear threat in the first place.
These meetings change the tone, but they don't help with the substance that much, because the substance is still this basic conundrum. How would you do the first step in a nuclear deal that ultimately might lead to the denuclearization of North Korea?
This puts doubts into Trump's foreign policy achievements. Since coming to power, he has had no real success to show for his efforts, from Afghanistan to the Middle East and eastward on North Korea. Meanwhile, experts say it's highly unlikely North Korea will abandon its atomic arms because the weapons of mass destruction are key to the country's survival.
We've been told for many years by the North Koreans that they highly value their nuclear weapons program because it's the legacy of the whole Kim family going back to the grandfather and founder, and also because they have observed what happened to Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi and the Taliban when they fought the United States without nuclear weapons.
Pyongyang has repeatedly cited U.S. military threats and the presence of American troops on the Korean Peninsula as one of the reasons.